right. Let's see. I think we're here. Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, mamas. Happy morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be in the world. It's Monday where Aisha and I are. So welcome to a very special video live here in the group. I think this is the first time I've done that. So I'm not sure if you knew that or not, but you're guinea pig here. But mamas, I want you to meet Aisha, who is the mama of an about to be ninth grader. So I had the chance to work with her daughter Amelia through my Love to Learn Study Skills program. And I just wanted you all to get to hear from her. If you had questions about, how she made her decision, maybe why she thought her daughter could use some help with those study skills. So Aisha, you want to tell us just a little bit about you, a little bit about Amelia?
Sure. So we've kind of stumbled across Jessica's service. Now I'm trying, oh my goodness, now I'm trying to remember how it was. I think I was on an ADHD website where I was getting constant emails, of resources, and you popped up. So we signed up for a set of, I want to say it was 32 different speakers that she had.
One of my events, yeah.
Yes, so we signed up for that, and as a part of that, we were able to do a one-hour one-on-one with you. So we did that, and we were really in a very bad place in terms of Amelia's academics, Amelia's behavior at the school that she was in. So at a little bit of all of its end. She's a very smart girl, but she didn't believe she was smart. A lot of us parents see that in our children. It's just like, well, why won't you just do the work? And it's because she didn't like doing the work. She didn't want to do the work. She didn't try to do other things. So the whole concept of learning to love or loving to learn, I thought, my God, can somebody really do that? How do you do that exactly? I still don't know how Jessica does the magic. I have no idea. All I know is that it definitely worked. Amelia is a very tough cookie. She is very strong-willed and she is very stubborn, which will serve her well as an adult, maybe, not as a 14 or 8th grader. So that we did the 1 hour session. Amelia and I both were on it. And Amelia had been suspended from school for behavior. We were homeschooling. I was at my wit's end, contemplating sending her to public school, which I had resisted forever and ever and ever, because I wanted to protect her, which I wasn't really doing good. So we sat on it because it's not cheap. It's not, but it was the first time, I think, because Jessica has some kind of Pied Piper magic with children. That's all I can think of. That was the first time Amelia has ever said, I really want to do it. And I said, let's think about this for 24 hours because I'm willing to make this investment. Absolutely willing to make this investment. You have to be committed to it. You can't decide 2 weeks from now. She normally did, oh, this is great, but now you just kind of get a bit bored. And I think the reason she stuck with it was because she wasn't bored with Jessica. So the formats, first of all, she'd always get a anywhere from 4 to 12 pages of guided notes, which she does very, very well with. And that one-on-one time with Jessica was like, we would listen, we were downstairs and we could hear her laughing and engaging. And she does not do that with adults. She just doesn't. So that was very curious to us. Yeah, what is this magic? Oh, but have this magic Jessica has. But the proof, though, was in the pudding. So we just got her end of grade exams back. She got a 5, which is perfect on her science. She got 4 in her ELA, 1 point away from a 5, and the same with her math, 1 point away from a 5. And in addition to that, she had all A's and only 2 B's. They were high B's. So she learned from Jessica how to a lot of things. So yeah, there's the tactical issues of how to take notes, how to pay attention, how to take abbreviations, how to make taking notes fun, how to customize them to yourself. Those are all great skills. How to take tests. All of these skills that are tactical that are so important for kids to learn. And I think during COVID, during the part when she probably should have been learning that, she missed out on that. And I'm a substitute teacher in the schools now, and I'm telling you, it's not being taught in the schools. It's just not, which is a travesty to kids. It really is. Because if you're not doing good in school, you don't feel good about yourself, especially girls. Their self-confidence plummets because mom and dad are on their butts about the fact that they're not doing their work, just doing the work. So their self-confidence plummets because they're getting it from school. They're getting it from their teachers because no teacher likes a kid that's a slacker. Having been a sub myself, you don't like those kind of kids. So therefore, you don't give them positive reinforcement. So then they end up being attracted to the wrong group of kids at school because, just going to be mean here, the losers at school don't care about education, are not really, their behavior is less than optimal. And that's who your child then ends up gravitating towards because they're happy to welcome you with open arms. Oh, come be part of our we don't care about school group. And then it just becomes this awful cycle. So Jessica really granted, she got to start in a new school. So we started with a new slate, which was great. And Jessica was there 2 weeks before we started that. So she got her prepped before she started the new school. And one of the key things that she taught her, besides the tactical elements of it, of how to study and how to pay attention, how to do your homework, etc., was the interpersonal communication skills between student and teacher. Getting these kids to understand your teacher is not your friend. They are an authority figure, and you may not like that, but too bad. You have to figure it out. You have to figure out how to advocate for yourself in a respectful manner. These kids right now are being taught that they don't have to give teachers respect. And they forget that respect is a two-way street. And they don't understand the hierarchy of authority figures versus students. You're a student. You're a child. You are not a parent. You are not a teacher. So, but she doesn't enforce, or she doesn't reinforce the idea that you don't have any power. She gets them to recognize that you have a tremendous amount of power, and it's all based on how you behave, how you communicate with your teachers, and you're in control. You're in complete control of the situation. So she's giving these kids control, which is what they want. She's giving them power to be advocates for themselves and to know how to attract more bees with honey than vinegar. And these are all those soft skills that a lot of adults, quite frankly, need to learn, like most adults. And Amelia has them now. So even little things like making eye contact with adults, smiling, nonverbal communications, and how important that is. Jessica taught her all of these things. I mean, these are incredible skills that go way beyond academics, because it goes into personal relationships with your mom and your dad, with your friends, with your sister. It's just learning how to, this sounds bad, I don't want to say be disingenuous, but knowing how to play the game. Like it's a game on how we interact with other people, because if you put out negativity, you're gonna get negativity back. So getting them to understand you're in control of the energy that you put out. So if you're positive, positive back. Even if you have a bad grade, if you're positive about it with your teacher, you go to your teacher with an open heart and with some level of humility and say, I messed this up and I apologize. I'm sorry. Can you help me? And they will do it. They love kids to do that. What they don't like is kids that come up and say, I got a bad grade and it's your fault. You didn't teach me right. It's like, no, you didn't do the work. So I think it's incumbent upon us as parents too, to teach our kids that like they're not entitled to a good grade. They're not. They have to be good. We can't just all run around doing our own thing. You can't do that. Like so Jessica created order out of chaos for us and for Amelia. And so now I feel Amelia will be going into ninth grade. She'll be going into a public school with 2,400 kids. But her self-confidence has shot through the roof. And she's so proud of herself because of her grades. You know, like it all starts, it's because it's an indicator. It's a tangible piece of paper. Look at this. This is how great I did. This is the product of my efforts. And so that sparked me. Sorry, I'm talking too much, but I'm very passionate about this because this has truly been life changing for us. And I could call Amelia up here and she'll tell you the same thing, the exact same thing. Maybe not as articulately as me. However, she loves it.
I am so grateful. I mean, I can't say that when I created the Love to Learn Study Skills program, that was really the plan. I was like, okay, these are the study skills I want to teach. But the ripple effect, all these other positive things, I can't say that I knew that was going to happen. So I'm grateful it did.
It's huge. It's huge. I'm telling you, I think that's the most important aspect of it. So it's going to set her up for life. It really is.
Wow. Now, I know that you said things maybe weren't the best at school before Amelia and I started working together. I don't think she and I ever really kind of dived into what caused the suspension, and I don't think that's necessarily important here, but I am kind of wondering, I get a question a lot about like what age or what grade is the right time to learn these study skills. And for me, middle school is like the perfect grade. So I wonder, Aisha, do you have any thoughts for some of our listeners that might wonder, should I wait till freshman year in high school? Should I, have my middle schooler go through the program? Because I mean, you're saying, Amelia's ready, and that's my goal, is that, students have time in middle school to practice them and learn these, so high school is easier.
Yeah, I wish I had found it earlier. I think that they should be in sixth grade, because sixth grade is when you really see that shift where teachers are trying to get kids to be more independent, have more agency in themselves, and they're trying to tell parents not to do all their work for them. Quit coddling your children like you're not helping them. You're not. You're setting them up for failure in life, because you're not going to be around forever to bail them out of all these situations that they get themselves into. So sixth grade is key, because I don't think I've ever met a single human being that told me middle school was fabulous. Oh my God, it was the best time of my life. Nobody says that. Nobody says that. So especially for young girls, they're struggling so much with who they are. Their bodies are changing. They've got hormones going like crazy. Society's telling them one thing. Their parents are telling. It's chaos for them. I would not want to be a kid in today's world with social media, and it's awful. It really is awful. And just trying to have them hear you through the noise is, so So again, she's like, you are like this little beacon of light through all of this noise that she is able to laser focus on, because she does have ADHD, but I feel like she's not cured of it. I don't think you're ever cured of it, but she is able to manage it now. In fact, she's not even taking stimulants anymore.
Oh.
We've switched to a completely non-stimulant medication. So yeah, she doesn't need the Ritalin and all that stuff that messes with their personalities and makes them into zombies, because that really bothered us a lot. And she hated it too, like took away her personality. So working with you is what I think it's just literally a miracle.
Wow. Oh, well, I don't want to keep you for too long, Aisha, but I'm trying to think of like the big questions I know come up a lot, because I know, the three of us, you, me, and Amelia, had a chance to meet ahead of time, kind of answer your questions, your thoughts. But you touched on the fact that you could hear that Amelia, was engaged during our lessons, and that, that was kind of a surprise to you.
Yeah.
So how did you really kind of take that leap? Because that's the reason I like to meet with the teens when I meet with the parents the first time, is so that way, I can see, okay, what's the situation between mom and teen, because that's a good indicator of where school's at right now.
Right.
And it gives, I like to hope the parents a chance to say, oh, look, my daughter, my son's talking to Jessica. Maybe they'll talk to her in the lessons.
Yes.
So how did you really know or trust that Amelia and I were actually going to work together?
So when we had that one-on-one with you, you were talking to her. You were making eye contact with her. And you would ask, you'd say, okay, mom, ABC. But Amelia, what do you think about that? So she didn't feel like I was forcing this on her. Like this was her choice, her decision. Again, you're empowering the kids to take agency and ownership over their situation, which I think we've stripped kids of that. Because we're coddling them and telling them, no, you can't do that. You can't. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. If you just give them the space to do it and take a leap of faith yourself and give them the confidence to do it. Don't need to be holding their hand all the time, as long as they don't kill themselves. Don't play with sharp objects.
Oh, well, I think the only last question I really have for you, Aisha, is there something that, kind of was going on in your mind, like any big question you had, kind of any like big resistance for you before kind of moving forward with the program? I'm wondering if there's something, that you were wondering about that some of our other mamas in the group might be going, we've talked, but this is my holdup.
It's always going to be the price tag. It always is. But it's worth every minute of it. If you think about it, because I was actually thinking about that the other day specifically, because you're spending over an hour, sometimes over an hour, one-on-one with this child. And how we did 13 weeks, right? It's 13 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really a really good deal when you think about it, because any professional that you go to, whether it's a therapist, whether it's tutoring, whatever, they're all going to charge at least $100 an hour, at least. So, and they're not going to be as effective. So I would say you just really got to evaluate. It's a tiny, the price tag seems like a lot. It's a tiny investment when you look at really the money-making power that you are going to give your child. They do good in school, then they graduate, then they will probably go on to college, setting them up for a higher end paying job, or maybe they don't, but whatever. It gives them more options, so they're not being pigeonholed into this way of life or this socioeconomic status just because they didn't get good grades. Like grades are everything. It opens up so many doors. And I don't think we talk about that enough with kids, that the decisions you make today are going to impact your buying power as an adult or as even as a teenager. So that 1,300 is pretty tiny in the grand scheme of things. You can look at it as it's a strategic long-term investment. And I mean, quite frankly, I fully expect, and I need to talk to you about this actually, like, is there a refresher course? So if she is starting to, like, she just needs a pick me up or all right, let's get back to Jessica. So I don't know if that's something that you offer, but I would highly recommend that too. And in retrospect, if I was doing this from 6th grade, which is what I would recommend, I would do the 6-month program for sure. Like, it's worth it. It's just worth it. Like, it's gonna be so much worth it for your own sanity alone, that you're not having to harp on your children and just nag them constantly. Nobody likes to be a nag. It sucks. So it's just for that alone. Never mind the buying power that your children are going to have, or the earning power. So just it's totally worth it.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Aisha. And yeah, I'm happy to hear that, you're excited to maybe, continue working with me, because I got to tell you, yeah, that's the reason I have all the courses recorded. So that way, students like Amelia can go back and rewatch. But that's the reason I do the one-on-one anyway, because we know how often students are probably going to do that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so definitely. Well, I definitely don't, like I said, want to keep you too long, because I could keep picking your brain, but I know it's the middle of the workday for you and probably a lot of our listeners. So definitely will, touch base with you, Aisha. If anyone has questions, and mamas that are watching this group, drop the word replay if you would, so we keep it towards the top of the feed. And if you've got questions for Aisha, I have a feeling she'd be more than happy to answer them for you somehow, somewhere.
I wore this shirt. What would Dolly do? Dolly would invest in her child. She had them. She would. She would.
Oh, well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up. So thank you so much, mamas, for watching. And Aisha, I'm going to take us off Facebook. So thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.